Good morning and welcome to Paul T's World. In this video we're going to have a look at the back garden in November, and towards the end of the video we're going to see some weather that we normally have in April. It's narrow here between the two houses, and so it creates a little bit of a wind tunnel. So I've planted this large viburnum. In fact, I've planted two. It's getting ready to flower. I wanted a nice, thick, large evergreen plant to break up the wind as it comes through this little wind tunnel. In fact, there's another one over there. And this is the one that I planted a clematis, which is growing beautifully round and through it. Can't wait to show you this in the spring, and this clematis is in full flower. It's fabulous. The euonymus growing up through the flowering currant. Pleased about that. I really like these euonymus. Well, as soon as they touch something, they then grow straight up it. Got another fern. This is self-seeded next to the pond. In the Foxglove video, I dug up a couple of large ferns from my woodland area. There's still plenty of ferns around, and I've got this as a really thick undergrowth here at the back of the pond. There'll be toads and newts and frogs and all sorts of wildlife in there. The last of the leaves have fallen on the pond now. These little light coloured ones are the ones from the willow. Oh, and there's some oak leaves in there. They need to come out. So I'll have a session cleaning the leaves out and tidying up the pond. And I'll also show you how I lower the level of the pond, because of course ponds tend to overflow in the winter. I need to add water in the summer and take water away in the winter. And I use water butts for both of those processes. Let's have a look at the Moonfire Dahlia. No more flowers at the moment. That's it with the flowers. Now I think it's been well warm enough. We haven't had a frost yet. I just haven't fed them through the autumn and the late summer. And I think dahlias you probably do. They've literally run out of food, poor dahlia. Here's another dahlia, it's on its last flowers. Once these stems have died off completely, I'll just cut it to the ground. I'll put some mulch over the area where the dahlias are and leave them over the winter. I think now and again you might lose the odd dahlia leaving it in over the winter, but I lose more taking them out. When I was inexperienced with the dahlias in this climate, I took them all out, stored them in the shed, and none of them survived. I thought I'd done everything right. So actually I trust them more in the ground over winter than me dealing with them. The peony leaves now, I might leave those over the winter. I replanted the irises, and a good neighbour has given me some Verbena bonarense. I've just popped them in here. Let's see how they do next year. I'll probably put more things in here as well. loosestrifes looking good. And here's the Himalayan honeysuckle. Now, while I was planting these foxgloves yesterday, I had to actually cut back some of this Himalayan honeysuckle. I cut back some of the less vigorous growth. It doesn't mind. It will send up loads of new shoots next year. Flowers just about finishing on this. Yeah. Birds have eaten all the berries. Oh, there's one or two still there. A lot of people have shown interest in this Himalayan honeysuckle, and indeed I love it. It does self-seed readily, and you will find little seedlings around the garden, and in some countries it is actually classed, for example in Australia, as a noxious weed. Ah, you're not noxious, are you? You are a weed at times though, but you're not noxious. Great plant, love it. Now, because of lockdown and things being closed, I'm actually going to do some ordering online of plants. I've never done this before. We'll see how it goes. Probably not this autumn. I might well do it in the spring. The beauty of ordering online is you order the exact plant, species, variety that you want. I often go to a garden centre knowing exactly what I'm going to buy, and they don't have it, so I come back with something completely different. So maybe online works. Perhaps you might like to let me know, what has been your experience of ordering online? Has it arrived in good condition? Has it been how you wanted it? How's it gone? Because I'm going to give it a go. And I might indeed start with the hydrangea that I'm going to put in this bed here. And get the exact variety I want. The white Weigela is looking great. I pruned it back after it flowered early summer, looking strong. Looking forward to seeing how this flowers next year. Gorgeous. Let's just have a look at the privet hedge over here. So here's the privet. We use privet a lot in Britain as hedging between houses. The advantage of privet is it grows as high as you like. You can prune it back as much as you like. It will flower if you don't clip it for a number of weeks. It's supposedly evergreen. It will lose a few over the winter, but generally speaking, it's evergreen. You can rejuvenate privet. You can cut it literally back down to the ground and it grows up and it grows again. The more you prune it, the thicker it becomes, which is why it's nice and thick when it's a hedge. There's a short wall here, which is the backdrop to the pond. Some ornamental type ivy. It actually is flowering. The great thing about ivy is it's one of the last plants to flower in the autumn. It's the last chance for insects to get pollen and food for the winter. I don't mind it being thick undergrowth here for all the insects, the frogs, hedgehogs, newts, the birds. A part of your garden that's a bit scruffy, tucked out of the way is fine. Here we have the Japanese weeping willow. That's rather pretty. You can see it better from the other side of the pond. A hawthorn has seeded itself here. I've left it because, of course, hawthorn, it's a native British plant, has berries, great for wildlife. A little bit of bramble here. Perhaps I'm not quite so keen on the bramble. And what else have we got behind here? A multitude of things. But all in all, a nice, thick, wild area here. And right at the end, I planted a Viburnum bodnansae dawn. This is supposed to smell nice, I've heard. Yeah, I suppose it does actually. And what I'm going to do here is I want to fill this in completely. I've already popped some foxgloves. You've seen me plant foxgloves in another bed earlier on in the year, so I've just popped those foxgloves in yesterday. And those will all flower next year in June. I put them there at the front because from the other side of the pond I think we'll be able to see those nicely. We'll have a look at that view a little bit later. In the meantime, I'm thinking right here in this open space, what about a large hydrangea? Paniculata, what do you think? A large paniculata here could look pretty good, and that will fill in this whole bed here. Let's just go to the other side of the pond so we can see what these foxgloves will look like next summer. And here we are with the view across the pond where the foxgloves will come up in that gap there. Just behind the pendulous reed here. Now, I'm not quite so sure on this. It looks nice and I really like it as a backdrop to the pond. Unfortunately, this, I think it's Carex pendula. It self-seeds all around the garden. Not just in the pond, but in normal beds. It can live anywhere. And a self-seeded yew tree. Yes, I've got a yew tree in my garden. Isn't that nice? Classic British tree. Every churchyard has a yew tree, often up to 1,000, 1,500 years old. And I've got my own little yew tree. The wild hedge that I've planted here, is it a hedge, a group of trees, some shrubs? This has worked brilliantly. What I wanted to do a number of years ago, this lawn extended right to the hedge at the back, and I wanted to create an area where I could put my compost bins, leaf mould bins, and also a place for the birds to hide and feel comfortable. So what did I do? I've put in some shrubs like this bridal wreath spirea, a weigela, variegated weigela that grows really large. I actually cut this back quite a lot this year. Holly, field maple, a forsythia, and now you can see a little bit more clearly the oak tree that's still got its leaves. It's the last tree to have its leaves. Those won't completely go for another couple of weeks. And there, it's the last tree to grow its leaves as well in the spring. A Guelder rose, still got some of its berries on. There's a holly. And some of the oak leaves, gorgeous oak leaves. In fact, there's some birds now in the trees round here. I can just hear chirping away. I also included another viburnum, Viburnum tinus, to thicken things up and make part of this area evergreen. There's the liquid ambar in the distance. And I put in the front here a ceanothus, but it's a little bit under the apple tree and it's not totally happy. Still in fact it's flowering now. It's not supposed to flower now, but it's decided a few flowers right at the end of the season. It's evergreen, it doesn't get enough sun here. Some nice late autumn sun filtering through. So the birds love this area here. As you know, I have the feeders, I have the fat ball feeder and a seed feeder. This is sunflower hearts, and I also hang a coconut up with fat inside and various other goodies, seeds for the birds. And the birds just love to come here, spend time in these trees and bushes, dart out, get the food, and then take it back to these trees. I need something to climb over this archway. My idea was to have it almost covered. And indeed, I put in a clematis. It's a Clematis montana, but it hasn't done much. It's been here a few years and it doesn't like it here, so I'm going to have to put something else here. And it's just starting to rain. The sun is out and it's starting to rain. Can you hear the rain? It's raining. So there we are, rain through the sunshine. Very pretty. And I was standing here the other day, just back here, just by the silver birch tree, and I was shredding something here, cutting some wood, and I stood here and the birds arrived. They all arrived together. It was magical. I'm only about 7 or 8 feet from these trees, and they're all in the trees and darting out, feeding on those fat balls and the seeds. Just stood here quietly. Fabulous place. It's raining on me. Looks like the sun's gone in. The sky's gone a bit dark up there. I think the sun's still out. And I think I'm going to go in. Oh dear me. What a day today. It was supposed to be a little bit sunny, but it's decided no. It's going to rain. Oh, we're on the patio. Let's have a quick look at these berries. And these are the berries that the blackbirds are now eating. Well, I hope that was of interest. I'm going to have to go in now. It's raining harder and harder. So hit that like button and I'll see you next time. Bye.